Welcome back to another episode of the College Baseball Show here, brought to you by Just Baseball Media. I'm joined today by Will and Jared. We got the Big 12 preview coming for you guys. So we got 3 previews left here. Big 12, then SEC, then ACC, and then we got some other shows before the season starts. Fellas, how we doing today? Jared, how we doing this afternoon, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk Big 12 baseball, and I'm excited that the Big 12 doesn't have 20 teams like the Big 10, so we can actually get out of here in like an hour. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, I'll try to keep us on pace today. I know. When we did the top 25, we went for almost 2.5 hours. Going to keep a little bit more on pace today. Will, you missed the top 25, but you're back here for the Big 12. Pumped to have you back, man.
I am bummed I missed the top 25. I actually tuned in at the end of it because it went for so long. I was able to catch like the last 30 minutes on my drive home. I am super fired up to talk about the Big 12. Got my write-up coming out soon. I previewed it a couple days ago. Lots of good information in there. Dove really deep on a handful of teams. This is just a really fun conference. What I am most excited about, yes, there's not 20 teams in this conference, but we actually get to have some debate with the awards. It felt like in the Big 10, it was so clear-cut who was going to win each one that we just had to throw out names that might be able to compete with certain guys. But this one, I feel like it's kind of a toss-up. Like you can take any award and do a different direction in this conference, which always excites me because it creates for a better conversation. The Big 12, if you guys don't know, has been my kind of region. I guess technically I'm in Big 10 land, but grew up a TCU fan. Big 12 baseball has always kind of been my thing. Absolutely love the Big 12. West Virginia is coming off of the 2025 regular season championship, despite finishing with a worse record than Kansas, but they beat them in the regular season, so a little funky tiebreak. The Mountaineers finished 19-9 in conference play, 44-16 overall, made it to a super regional. 8 teams from the Big 10 got into the NCAA tournament in Arizona, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Kansas, and Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, and West Virginia. The Arizona Wildcats being the lone Omaha representative out of this conference. Now, there are some retooling teams in this conference. We'll get into it obviously really deep, but Texas Tech wants a powerhouse program, rebuilding, retooling. Houston in that boat as well. Utah trying to climb back up those ranks. Even Baylor's had a down couple of years trying to get back up. UCF can be a powerhouse just based on the recruiting landscape of where they're at. And we're coming off of a really fun year in the Big 12 where we had 6 teams finish within a game and a half of each other. And I think this year is going to be no different. I think there's going to be 8 teams in this conference easily that finish within 3 games of each other when it's all said and done. So we can dive right into this. I'm fired up to talk about this. I'm going to actually kick us off just because I'm in a rambling mood. So I'm going to keep it rolling. And we're going to talk about the Baylor Bears. Under head coach Mitch Thompson, they finished 33-22 last year. They are going to bring back arguably the best shortstop in the conference in Travis Sanders. Now, Travis Sanders had a fantastic showing last year. He's going to hit towards the top of the order. Maybe didn't drive in as many runs as you would expect with a 974 OPS. He drove in 25 runs with 9 doubles and 8 home runs. He's going to be the anchor of this lineup. I'm really excited to watch him. I think he's going to be super fun again. There's a lot of new faces across the board here. You're going to have some freshmen that are going to be mixed in this lineup. You're going to have a couple of transfers out of UT Arlington that are coming in, and Cade Dodson and Tice Armstrong. Those 2 guys should make decent impacts as well. Limited playing time for the most part, but consistent starters. They're going to make the jump into the Big 12. The pitching is really where I'm going to have some questions with Baylor because last year they struggled. They are bringing back Ethan Calder, who was their main starter. He started 15 games last year to a 5.18 ERA. There's one guy that I really want to highlight, though. He's going to be a Division III transfer. He played for the national champion Wisconsin Whitewater Warhawks. The Warhawks sent all 3 of their rotation guys to Division I baseball this year. One's at Florida Gulf Coast, one at Baylor, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the third one transferred. But all 3 bumped up into Division I. You're going to see Cade Hansen from Whitewater pitching this year. He pitched to a 2.68 ERA over 84 innings, and of course got that national championship ring. That stuff is going to play. Right, that guy, he knows how to get outs. He play against the top Division III talent. We see D3 guys every single year compete at the highest levels in this sport. This is going to be a fun team. And I know last year they struggled at times, certainly. They finished 13-17 in the conference. I'm expecting a big step out of Baylor this year. You have some returning faces, some key pieces like Travis Sanders to build around. You're also bringing in some experienced transfers that have played at the Division I mid-major level. And then you're bringing in enough pitching from last year to, I think, hold them afloat. I'm expecting a 500 record in conference play, if not better, out of Baylor. I think they're going to be knocking on the door of an NCAA tournament appearance. They finished 11 games over 500. This team finishes with 35 plus wins. It's going to be hard to keep them out.
Yeah, and honestly, look at that team. They were 20-5 in non-con. If that team had performed at all in the Big 12, they're sitting there in a regional. But then they struggled and stumbled through the Big 12. And that's really the tale of all 14 of these teams, right? They could finish anywhere in this rank. Like all 14 of these teams could be really good this year, and a lot of them are going through some rebuilds with some D2 and D3 guys. A lot of JUCO guys have entered the Big 12. They got a ton of transfers. We were talking about this in the pre-show that so many transfers have come to the Big 12. It's really exciting. And, the 33-22 record was nothing to scoff at. Just the fact that they didn't win games in conference was the hardest part, I think, for Baylor. And like you said, lots of freshmen in that lineup. Could be interesting to see how they perform here in the first year in the Big 12. Could be another season before we see Baylor really jump to the top end of this Big 12. But I'm excited for them, Will. I got another team, BYU, 28-27. No regional for Coach Pratt last year. They play at Miller Park, super high elevation, super fun ballpark. The only ballpark in D1 that has heaters under the field. So they literally had like a foot of snow, turn on the heaters, an hour later they were playing baseball. Super rad. Love BYU, love their backdrop there. Here's the thing. They returned like 70% of their at-bats from last year. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. The offense was pretty effective, but not enough with how rough the pitching was for them, unfortunately. But in the infield, they got lots of veterans and guys that have started all over the place. Easton Jones at third base, Parker Goff at catcher. He's caught nearly 100 games at the D1 level, which is just great to have back when you're talking about pitchers that are going to need some help there behind the dish. Shortstop Luke Anderson and second baseman Ryder Robinson and outfielder Bryker Hertzman. They hit. This team's going to hit, and they hit at elevation. The biggest question mark for BYU is can they get outs? Last year they couldn't do it. They lost some arms, so they get about 50% of their innings back, which if you look at it, you're like, okay, did we keep the guys we wanted? They did. They got Peyton Gubler coming back and Garrison Sumner, two guys that have combined for like 29 starts in their career. That's cool. You get them back. They're going to be on the weekend. The problem was that Garrison had an 8 ERA and Peyton had over 6. So you're like, man, is this enough to get outs in the Big 12? Can you go in there and go win some games? I think that another year under their belts and another year with Coach Pratt, I think that they take a step forward. I really like what BYU is doing. I think that they're trying to ease their way into this conference and figure out ways to win games. Again, still over 500 last year and finding their way. I believe that BYU takes another step forward here in the state of Utah. Pretty excited. Anything you guys want to add to BYU before I jump over to Utah next?
I like this take. We've seen them do it in football and basketball. They're getting some NIL money really going. I genuinely think it's only a matter of time before baseball starts flooding in. And I know Utah isn't necessarily the baseball destination, but there's a trickle down effect, especially with when NIL gets involved. I agree with you. I think BYU is a couple years away. I do want to point out, I know Garrison Sumner was rocking a close to an 8.5 ERA last year. I watched him in the Big 12 tournament last year. And when he came out of the bullpen, he threw 3 pitches. And I said, holy cow, who is this kid? Like, his stuff is ridiculous. I was like, this kid is legit. And then, of course, he got lit up a little bit. I was like, okay, I guess the ERA checks out. But when I looked at his ERA and I was watching him warm up in the Big 12 tournament last year, I was shocked that it was. So I think he's going to take a huge step. The stuff is way better than an 8.5 ERA.
Yeah, and for the fact of his whiff rate was like in the 40s on his fastball, and then you look around and he's giving up 18 home runs. It's like, what's happening? How are you missing? How do you miss barrels so much, and then all of a sudden you hit one and it's a home run? I think that was the hardest part for him is that batting average against was 345, and having high strikeout rates. Like, you got to figure out how to throw some balls. Maybe stop throwing it over the middle of the plate. Attacking hitters is great, but you got to be able to go out there and nibble the edges a little bit. And I think that's the big change here for BYU. Utah, one of the 2 teams last year that was under 500 in the Big 12. A lot of teams right around 500. These were a team under 500, 21-29. Coach Henderson had a rough one. He's had some really good teams. He had some good competition there in the Pac-12. He's struggled so far in Big 12 play. Not the best start there at the 21-29. Now, they do get a brand new on-campus ballpark. They have made that decision, $35 million ballpark that they've put up there at Utah. Very excited for that. I think that might change some stuff around. Coach Henderson has been a longtime coach in D1 baseball. He knows how to win. Per usual, they have an ace coming back. I don't know how this happens every year. Every year you look at Utah and they go, they got a Friday night ace, and it just happens again. Colton McNally, this guy can straight up dice up lineups. The problem was he didn't win games somehow. He was 3-6 last year with a terrific ERA, a sub-3 ERA. It's like they got to figure out a way to score runs. So they addressed that. Matt Flaherty is about the biggest name that's coming back for them. He's going to play up the middle somewhere, whether he plays second base or shortstop, don't know. But they went out and got a pair of kids from San Diego State that were probably their two best hitters last year, and Nevin Noonan. I saw him hit a ball at Pullman, and it was 28 degrees, and he hit a ball 450 feet. And he had a full mask, a full hoodie on. He was freezing cold, hit this ball. I'm like, boy, there's just something that happens when dudes can hit like that. And Nevin Noonan's one of those guys. I think that he's going to help them out a lot, possibly get those power numbers up. Utah, again, add elevation. Not as high this year since they're going to be on campus. And then Daniel Arambula. This guy can play third base. He played every game at third base as a freshman at San Diego State. And now you're going to put him over there at Utah and give him a chance to succeed. I really like what they've done. The problem is they got a lot of JC, a lot of transfer guys, a lot of D2. They're going to try to make some differences here. A lot of guys from Salt Lake Community College. It's going to be interesting if those guys can mesh and go out there and get some hits and be able to produce offensively. But pitching-wise, they're all right. I mean, they have enough. I think that when you have a Friday night ace that gives you a chance to win any Friday night in Big 12 play, you're going to put yourself in the position to compete. But again, we have them at 12 because there's so many question marks with this team. And looking overall, you got to be like, okay, teams with question marks in this conference got to struggle a little bit because there's so much certainty with a lot of these teams coming in. And also at number 11 here, UCF, Jared, 29-26. I had huge hopes for this team last year. I had them in my top 25 to start the season, and they just struggled. They didn't really have the pitching that everybody kind of expected they would. Talk a little bit about this team that Coach Walls has.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to kind of see what this team can do. To me, they have a guy who can easily compete for Big 12 Player of the Year in Andrew Williamson, and I think that's where things go for this UCF team is in the outfield. They return two starters to that starting lineup in Andrew Williamson, and I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Diamez Ross, also who returns as their center fielder. Williamson's a guy who hit 19 doubles, 13 home runs, 53 RBIs, had an on-base percentage over 440, just absolute all-around dude. And he's just going to mash for this team. And he's in one of the top draft prospects for a reason. So, like, when you bring a guy like that back into the heart of your lineup, you know you're going to produce and perform as well. And then they also got J.D. Rogers from Vanderbilt, who I actually think is going to be an interesting transfer. Didn't get a lot of playing time there, had some struggles, but very, very physical hitter. I think he's going to do some big things for them. And they also got Landon Moran in from Stetson. So their transfer portal class was very, very strong. I believe they had a top 25 portal class. Landon Moran was the top of that. Zach Skinner from Lamar is going to be interesting. Roman Kimball on the mound. That's a guy to watch. He was a highly touted prospect for the draft at one point, dealt with injuries during his time at South Carolina. Kind of a guy that you just thought could probably use a change of scenery. Gets that opportunity, comes to the Big 12, gets to do it at UCF. And so maybe not being in the SEC more, he kind of sees a jump in the numbers as well. So I really, really like this UCF team. Again, like you mentioned, last year the question marks were on the mound, but again, bringing in a guy like Roman Kimball can help. They also got other pair of transfers. Again, they went the D2 route. We've talked about the Big 12 teams kind of going the D2 route. They get Braden Smith out of Maryvale. And then Joey Trombley, D1 out of Sacred Heart. So like those two guys that can probably compete for a rotation spot for this team. Again, a lot of new names that are coming to the mound, but I really like this UCF team and hope they can kind of take that next step.
Yeah, I'm big on UCF taking a step forward. I mean, it's got to be about pitching, right? Because I think that's the biggest difference there for them is that they struggled so much. And you're going to hear a name, a true freshman, Jordan Lodis, one of the Lodis brothers and cousin. Very excited for him. He's going to be a shortstop here. The coach said he grew like 3 or 4 inches from the time he started at fall ball to January. So I don't know if that's just hyperbole or if that's real, but listen, I believe him. I mean, we'll talk about him a little bit later because I have him possibly as one of my superlatives later, but
there's one other guy I wanted to mention too,
Yeah.
because we're talking about Lodis, but I also want to talk about a guy on the mound is Michael Gillian from Clemson. So This is a guy I completely forgot about him, but he was at Seton Hall and in 2024 posted a 2.31 ERA, struck out 43 batters and 39 innings pitched. I think he dealt with some injuries, only played 3 games at Clemson, so maybe now that he gets an opportunity to get some more innings under his belt, could be kind of a huge pickup for UCF as well.
Yeah, him and Kimbrel, like they're talking about some guys that can get some innings and get some outs, and that's something that UCF struggled with. They had a lot of arm injuries last year. Those guys are mostly gone, seniors. So now you're going to look at this new class of guys coming in, some transfers in. I think that Wallace is really happy with what he's brought into UCF, and I think that they can compete right now in that Big 12. Another team that kind of surprised us, Will, and it did compete at some points at last season, and I saw them live at Cal, was Houston. 30-25. They didn't get to a regional, but Coach Whitting got the extension there. Pretty excited to have him. I'm interested to see what Houston does. They have a lot of backing, right? They have a lot of alumni. They have a lot of people that want this team to be really good. And being in the Big 12, I think this is a year that they got to start making a splash.
Yeah, absolutely. We're entering year 16 under Coach Whitting. It's been there for a while. He's been in the good days of Houston baseball, and I think we're on the right track heading that way. And you kind of mentioned it with some previous teams. They're returning a lot of innings. Like whether or not you think that's a good thing, they're returning a lot of innings, which is a plus. And that's my biggest question mark for this team is like, how can we develop on the pitching side, specifically in the strikeout category? They just did not strike out a lot of guys. They don't miss a ton of bats. They're going to return Paul Schmitz, who started 14 games for them last year. They're going to return Chris Cinta and Alex Solis, who combined for 40 appearances and 10 starts. So they're probably going to get their rotation in those 3 guys. The 3 combined threw for well over 110 innings. You're going to have the pitching back, which I think is good. They need to take that next step. They need to miss more bats. The offense is where I'm super, super excited about this team. And yes, they did lose arguably one of the best relievers in the country in Antoine Jean last year. I got eyes on him. Unbelievable pitcher. One of the most impressive left-handed arms that I saw all of last year. The kid was ridiculous. So you're losing that, which is a huge piece for them. He kind of just felt like the secondary starter. He wasn't starting games, but he was kind of just on cleanup crew and would pitch 5 innings on any given night. So you're going to miss out a lot there. They are bringing back junior outfielder Trey Broussard. He's going to be the cornerstone of this offense. He had a really good summer in the Cape. He hit 296, swiped 10 bags. Last year, he led the team in hits with 62 and stolen bases with 31. He slashed 292, 371, 458 with 12 doubles, 7 home runs, and 34 RBIs. Truly a table setter profile, plays elite defense, has crazy speed. He's still only hitting sub 300. He had 30 swipes last year. Like this kid might steal 40 bags this year. He's going to be a superstar. I'm super fired up to watch him. One of my breakout picks, Cade Clemmy, he's going to be a third baseman for the season. He led the team in OPS last year with a 921. He's got big-time power tools. He also led the team in home runs with 9, drove in 37 runs. I think that's going to have a big tick up. And that's the thing is, like, nobody had an astounding number of RBIs on this team this year. I think you're going to see that change. Like, I think you're going to see the guys that drove in 30, 35 runs for Houston last year drive in 40, 55 runs this year. They're going to be so much cleaned up on offense. They're going to bring back redshirt sophomore utility man Xavier Perez. He led the team in batting average with a 305 average, a 902 OPS, also with 9 home runs and 12 doubles, and a team high 48 RBIs. He's going to take a big step. They're bringing back senior shortstop Tyler Cox, who started all 55 games for the Cougars, the only Cougar to start 55 games. There's going to be a fun piece here. They're bringing in Landon Williams out of the transfer portal. He's coming in from Prairie View A&M, taking over the duties behind the dish. He slashed 376, 470, and 671 last year, 13 doubles, 12 home runs, and 54 RBI. I think he can be an X factor, make a big impact behind the plate defensively and at the dish. He's an offensive-minded catcher, which is big, especially in this league. I love Houston to take the next step. I think they're going to be a tournament team this year. I'm going to put it out. I think this is a team that has top 5 in the conference potential as long as the pitching can clean up and start missing some barrels. And this team is going to win a lot of games this year.
Yeah, they added a lot in the arm department. They're trying to figure that out because they realize without Gene, where do you go? They got to figure that out, and especially on the weekends, and make sure you can win some games in the Big 12. But offensively, I think that they compete a little bit more too this year. Their team average was lower than most of the Big 12 teams last year. Yeah, they do return some guys that provided some offense. Those guys take another step forward. I think I'm with you, Will. This team could jump up quite a bit. We have them again at 10, and it's because of what the question marks are. Can they get the outs on weekends? Can they find some weekend rotation guys? And can they go out there and hit and get better in this conference like they did last year? Big additions, Will. I love that. Number 9, Kansas State, 32-26. They lost in the Austin Regional. Coach Hughes has had All-Americans. He's had Team USA guys. This team's not necessarily that, Jared, but he finds ways to compete and win.
Yeah, I think the tough part is that this Kansas State team is losing a lot of pieces. So Seth Dardar, he's gone. Maximus Martin, I believe, also gone. They do return. I know, and then their home run leader Keegan O'Connor, I don't think he's returning either. So like you're losing a lot on the offense. I think the one player that no one talks about enough is EJ Vasco, who is returning. Hit 311 last year with 12 doubles, 11 home runs, 52 RBIs, 934 OPS for the team, and I think he's the big bat that comes back and returns to this lineup along with D. Kennedy, who also hit 11 home runs last year. So they get a couple guys back that kind of really can fill out this lineup. But as we've talked about the podcast, they went very transfer heavy and hit the portal hard to replace a lot of these guys that they lost. And on the offensive side, I'm interested in a couple guys. The biggest one for me is Grant Gallagher. This is a guy who absolutely mashed at East Tennessee last year. We got to catch up with him over the summer when he was in the MLB draft league, had some draft aspirations, just didn't get selected, didn't get an undrafted contract. But he's a guy who hit 10 doubles, 20 home runs, and 49 RBIs at East Tennessee State. Batting average a little low, strikes out quite a bit, so there's some swing and miss to the game. But if you're looking to replace those 17 home runs that they lost from O'Connor last year, like Gallagher's a guy who can probably easily jump right into that lineup and provide you that pop. So he's one guy I'm looking at. They also got Cole Wyson. Oh, this is wrong one. Sorry, I went to the wrong player there. Where are we at? I have so many tabs open here. Carlos Vasquez out of Western Kentucky. This is the guy I was looking for. So kind of a table setter profile here. He stole 8 bases last year, slash 366, 435, 532 with 22 doubles, 5 home runs, and 40 RBI. So has potential to kind of slide into that third base role as well. And it's another guy, like you're looking for a producer at the top of that lineup. He did that at Western Kentucky, played D1 baseball, like hopefully can kind of fill in and fill that role for him. So those are just kind of a few guys on the offensive side. On the mound, they kind of lose even more. So I'm kind of worried about the pitching side for this team as well. And the team ERA, I think, was like 11th in the league last year. So it's not a strong pitching staff, even with the guys that they're bringing back. So I do have some concerns there. The big guy that they bring in, though, that I'm really interested in is a guy named Carson Leggett out of Louisville. So he missed most of the last year, I think all of last year, actually, with an injury, but was kind of a big-time arm at Louisville for, I believe, his sophomore year in 2023, where he posted 3.42 ERA in 71 innings. Then in 2024 is when he posted 6.75, but he only pitched 16 games. I think that's the year he got injured and missed all of 2025. So looking for a bounce back candidate, he's probably a guy that could possibly be that. And then the other guy that I'm really interested that they brought in, and Will love this because he's a TCU transfer, but Cohen Fesser. He's the guy who posted over the last 3 years a 3.66 ERA in 2022, a 2.56 ERA in 23, and then a 4.97 in 25. So again, looks like he missed that 24 season. I think he's coming back from an injury as well. But a guy who could come in and kind of provide some quality innings for this K-State team. But it's like, again, it's a lot of guys that you're kind of just unsure exactly what they're going to bring to the table. So just have some question marks there, but definitely think it's a team to watch.
Yeah, probably the most proven offensive players coming back, especially EJ. Like you're talking about guys that can go out there and hit, and you're kind of like, okay, we know they'll be able to hit enough, but the pitching is another question. And that kind of feels like the theme that's been going through some of these teams that are in the bottom half of our Big 12 is, can they get outs? Are they going to have these guys that can go out there and start weekends? You know, it's not easy to go face these lineups that are in the Big 12, which is historically a hitting conference, and they went out and got more hitters and put them in this conference. So very interesting to see here. Again, Kansas State, we have them at 9. The last one of our bottom half, and the only other team other than Utah that didn't go over 500 last year, Texas Tech. Coach Tadlock, was a perennial powerhouse at Texas Tech. They were continually going to Omaha. They were continually making deep runs in the tournament. And that's kind of fallen off the last few years. And now you're looking at a team that's looking around and figuring out, what are we? What were, before we're going to hit a ton of home runs. We're going to hit 120 home runs and we're going to bat 350 as a team. we're going to find pitching. Well, they haven't been able to find the pitching lately, and I think that's been a huge hit for them. And they're still kind of in that same boat. Like they still haven't really found their way. Now they got some guys that are coming in. They got tons of freshman arms. The biggest one being Adam Haynes. I think he's going to get a weekend rotation position. And he sits like 95, 97 as a freshman. Big kid. He had draft aspects. He wanted to be. He was in the draft MLB draft league. Didn't get taken. Ends up on campus here in Texas Tech for Tadlock. They also bring back Jackson Burns, who's likely going to be maybe the Friday guy. He has tremendous stuff. The problem is he just misses the zone a lot, and then when he has to throw strikes, he gets hit. So if he can clean up his game a little bit, so if you get that Jackson Burns and Adam Haynes kind of back-to-back 1-2 punch, maybe they have enough, because offensively, the 3-4-5 hitters that they have coming back and they bring in Hollis Porter from Maryland, who hit 21 home runs. It's a 350 guy that's coming in hitting 21 home runs. He can straight up mash. And then you go over and you go, okay, we got Logan Hughes, who's going to move from first base to play a little corner outfield because they're bringing in Hollis Porter. He hit 19 home runs too. So you're talking about 40 home runs on this club right there from those two guys. And then you bring in you have Robin Villanueva coming back. That's a 3-4-5 of all 350 averages and multiple home runs. If you have 60 home runs and you're hitting 350 from those three, you feel pretty good offensively. Again, pitching wise is the thing that's got to figure out, and Tadlock's got to figure it out. It feels like with everything that's going on, especially their softball side, rising up to number one in the country, playing really well. Baseball, the other Diamond Sports, got to figure it out. And Coach Tadlock has been a good one for a long time. Got to find some pitching. He thinks he got it in the freshman here. They may be a year away, but I like that they feel like they're finally making that turn. The offense might keep them in enough games this year. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens at Tech this year. Number 7, Jared, Arizona State, 36-24. They lost in the the Los Angeles Regional last year. Coach Bloomquist. This was a team that was competing, and they went down there to play UC Irvine, and they played UCLA, and they thought that they were going to have a chance of being able to win that regional. They just continue to stumble, but they put a lot of money back into this program, Jared. Not a ton of returners coming back, but this is a really good squad.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who attended Arizona State and worked for the baseball team for a couple of years, I want ASU so badly to get back to the premier program it used to be. When I was there in 2009, like they were that premier program. Yes, like Pat Murphy got fired that year and Tim May had to take over, but like team won like 50 games that year and went to the College World Series. I believe they were in the Omaha final that year as well. Well, maybe not. I can't remember exactly the ending there, but they have an athletic director in Graham Rossini who has close ties to the baseball team himself. He was someone who was a major part. I think he was a director of baseball operations, and that's how he got his start in the athletic department at Arizona State. So he's very invested in this program and wants to see this program to get back. Problem is, off-campus stadium now, that kind of creates a little bit of an issue, but the facilities are super nice. Regardless of it being off campus. And they've got all the resources and tools there to become one of the better teams in the Big 12. And I think they're going to do that. I think this might be the first year where we see them kind of take that next step. As you mentioned, they made it a regional last year. I'm sure they have aspirations to get to a super regional and kind of go from there and make it to Omaha eventually. And this is a team I like on the mound, on the pitching side, right? They lose Ben Jacobs to the draft. We knew that was going to happen. The guy strikes out the world, and he has a ton of deception on his fastball. Like you're not going to get that guy back. Cole Carlin, though, kind of will fill in that probably Friday night role. And this is a guy I'm super, super high on. Had 86 strikeouts in 54 innings last year. And he posted I believe, 3.3 ERA. So the guy is really, really good. It's fastball. It's up to 97. It's got a ton of whiff on that pitch as well. Like this is a guy I think can take some significant strides and be just a lights out Friday night guy for them. And then again, going back to Will's favorite school in the world, they get Cole Kleckler from TCU. So this is a guy who coming off of 2023. Lost us all there for a second.
Yeah.
Dealt with some injuries. I had a 5.96 ERA in 2024, and then he only pitched 19 innings last year. But this is a guy who can make some noise and kind of be a significant role, carve out a significant role with the staff. He's got tons of starter experience, and I really think he could kind of help take this rotation to the next level. The offensive side's where I really, really am intrigued by this team. They've returned Landon Harrison, which this guy I think is going to be a big draft prospect for the 2027 draft. Has a lot of bloodlines related to Scott Hairston, Jerry Hairston Jr. So he's got a lot of MLB bloodlines there, and I think this is a guy who can really take his game to the next level as well. And then they get like Dominic Smaldino from California, who I think hit 20 home runs last year, something silly like that. They also get
home runs, yeah.
What's that?
Led Cal in home runs, yeah.
Yeah. They get PJ. I'm gonna really butcher this last name.
Mutsaritas.
Is that how you say it? Yeah. Had some down year numbers last year. Only slashed 273, 29, 367, but like an elite defender at shortstop. You get like your kind of true shortstop there. And he had a really great freshman year where he slashed 299, 389, 457. So he's got table setter profile potential. He could be a guy who could kind of just inject into this lineup. Again, we go back to the transfers. Dean Toigo out of UNLV slash 377, 445, 682 with 13 doubles, 18 home runs, and 74 RBIs. Like this guy's probably slotting in right at third base for you, I think. So you get a big transfer there from UNLV, and then a guy that I really love that they got was Garrett Michelle out of Virginia Tech. This is a guy that I thought was going to be a potential draft prospect after kind of a strong 2023 season, got hurt, and then had limited playing time in 2024. Again, had limited playing time again in 2025. But like this is a big time power bat that if he can come back healthy, he could really, really be a force in this lineup as well. So, and then I forgot about Dominic Longo as well. So they just loaded up with transfers. They spent a lot of money, like Graham Rossini said it in the offseason that they were going to invest into NIL and things like that to help bring in guys. And they had one of the best portal classes. I think they were 11th on the 64 analytics rankings. So you have to be happy with what they could potentially build. But as Will and Mark, you guys have already mentioned, like you just don't know what you're going to get with those transfers. And we have to see kind of how it all pans out.
Yeah, they probably have the most proven transfers that have done it at the D1 level. And I think that's probably why we have them at 7 because they're like, it's not a question as to whether these guys can perform, it's whether they will in this year at the Arizona State level there and being in that ballpark. But I mean, honestly, that lineup is going to be just really, really good. They're probably going to hit a lot of home runs as they do at Phoenix Municipal. It's pretty cool. I went there for my bachelor party. One of my days was there. I got to go to one of the games there against Oregon State. So it's fun. It's a great stadium. I hope that they go out and the fans enjoy it because it's a really good team this year. And this is a team that might surprise a lot of people and end up jumping all the way up to the top of this conference with all the transfers they brought in. The way of college baseball is if you go out there and you spend a little bit of money, you can put yourself in the ability to compete right now. And that's kind of what they did. So I'm excited for this team. I know we're all happy because when Arizona State's good at baseball, it just feels like college baseball is better overall. And we're pumped that they're trying to build this thing back up. Another team that feels like when they're good at baseball, it's really great for college baseball in general is Oklahoma State. Now, 30-25, they lost in the Athens Regional. They went on a hot streak at the end of the season, even to get into the tournament. They're 2 weeks before the end of the season and before the Big 12, we're like, no way, they're out. There's not going to be in this tournament. They're going to be missing this thing. Holiday seats getting a little hot. They get hot at the right time. They go out there and they start playing good baseball. Now, they do lose a lot, but they also bring back Colin Bruggeman. He returns. He's going to play first base. They thought he was going to be out of eligibility. Well, Diego Pavia rule kind of gave him life, and then he won his lawsuit. Now he gets another year. So they bring him back at first base. That's 20 home runs you're talking about right there in that guy. I think he had 18 last year, but his ability to go out there and just solidify a corner infield spot for you and be really good. Colin Ritchie comes back. Center fielder was a stud last year for them. The offense is going to be there. They're going to find things out. They have a really good team. I think the thing that I want to talk about the most was something that they struggled with last year, and they shouldn't have because they had 4 MLB-type arms get drafted last year, and they still struggled on the pitching side. They bring in new pitching coach, Blake Hawksworth, who was at University of Oregon last year, had the 15th best ERA in the country, I believe, something like 4.20 for Oregon. They brought him in. They're like, we need this guy. We need somebody to help us out. We're going to be missing a lot of guys. All right, how do you replace 4 draft arms? Well, Hudson Barrett transferred from UCSB. He was out all of last year, comes in here now. His freshman season, he had a 1.92 ERA and had 82 strikeouts in 70 innings. Like, this guy is a stud. absolute stud. You're getting him now being healthy. Mario Pesca, likely to make the rotation also. Another guy that's healthier this season. Didn't necessarily need him last year in the rotation. You're going to get him this year in the rotation. So you're getting some guys that are going to make some big jumps for them. And I'm really excited to kind of see where they go. You also have you got just so much talent there that I'm really excited to see kind of where they go here. And can they be better than they were a season ago? I think Blake Hawksworth's going to get them there. Now, who knows, right? This is another one where we know what they have, but the question marks are still there, and that's why we have Oklahoma State at 6. Number 5, Will, you get Cincinnati. We love Cincinnati, 33-26. They lost to the Knoxville Regional. They put up some numbers there. They really competed. A lot of us thought maybe they were going to pull that upset off there. Tough place to play, but they did compete there. Talk just a little bit about this Coach Bichelle team and how good we think that they could be here this season.
Yeah, I've got to represent. He's a Wisconsin guy. Is at St. Norbert's, which is just a little bit north of me. So I love that for Coach Bichelle. He's entering his 4th season. Last year was his 2nd consecutive year reaching the 30-win mark. This is the definition of just chaotic offensive style. Like, if you're a fan of like small ball and you love that style of baseball, which is why I like college baseball so much more than MLB, this team does it. They led all of Power 5 in stolen bases. They went 134 of 148. They stole bases, almost 150 bases last year at a 90% clip. That is absurd. And they broke a single school record. They also led all of Power 5 in bunt hits last year. This team loves the small ball stuff. Yes, you're going to lose the Big 12 Player of the Year in Carrington Cross. They're bringing back a lot of good players, though. You're going to bring back all Big 12 second team selection last year in Jack Natilli. He's been rated in preseason All-American polls all over. He had a great year last year. Slash 338, 451, 556, 14 doubles, 9 home runs, and 53 RBI. He's going to take the next step this year. He's going to pretty much be the cornerstone of your offense. You've got your shortstop back and redshirt sophomore Charlie Niehaus, who finished 2nd on the team in stolen bases. He went 21 of 23 last year. Also collected 13 extra base hits and got on base at a 376 clip. You're also bringing back junior outfielder Cal Sefrick, who drove in 43 runs, and senior infielder Christian Mitchell, who swiped 11 bags. And you're going to bring back sophomore first baseman Quentin Coates, who was all Big Ten freshman team last year. He slashed 315, 400, 541 with 7 doubles and 6 home runs. He did that in 27 starts. So we're going to get a full year of him. So I think he's going to be kind of the emerging player of this team. We saw what he did in a pretty small sample size last year. He's going to be a stud this year. You're also bringing in sophomore infield transfer from Bradley Jackson Smith, who started 36 games last year and posted a 836 OPS. They're also bringing in some true freshmen that are supposed to be very solid. Enzo Infeliz was the number 25 ranked catcher according to Perfect Game. He's going to come in, probably won't see a ton of time defensively behind the plate, but wouldn't be surprised to see him get some big opportunities, at least with the bat in some capacity. They're another team that's given the ball to a guy that can go out and get you a win every single Friday night. Nathan Taylor, he's going to be the anchor of the pitching staff. All Big Ten honorable mention last year, racked up 91 strikeouts in 15 starts, 87 innings of work last year to a 3.93 ERA. They're also bringing back some big-time bullpen pieces in Adam Bukowski and Carson Marsh. They combined for 45 appearances and 75 innings last year. They're also bringing in a trio of Division I transfers that, again, don't know how they're going to produce at Cincinnati, but bring in a lot of experience, a lot of innings. They're bringing in Logan Knight from North Dakota State, Dylan Schuler from Illinois Chicago, and Brennan Eager from Louisiana Monroe. There's a lot of new faces on this team, mostly on the pitching side, but when you bring back as much offense experience as they do, I think you have to be really excited about what this team can accomplish. And as long as they can continue to create that chaos on the bases and at the plate with bunts and stealing bases, this is going to be a really tough team to play again. And we saw them do it in the regional. Tennessee, over the course of the season, we saw Marcus Phillips. He really struggled holding runners on, and Cincinnati took full advantage of that. And they really kept Tennessee on the ropes because of what they were able to do. Sure, we might not be able to hit home runs off of Liam Doyle. We might not be able to hit extra base hits off of Marcus Phillips. But guess what? If I get on, I'm going to steal 2 bases, and we're going to get him in with a ground ball to the right side. So if they can continue to play baseball like that, this is going to be another really fun team to watch.
Yeah. Coach Jared and I talked to Coach Bichel, And he was really pumped about the arms he comes back with. And he's like, we'll fit it in the rest of the guys. That's fine. We have so much talent coming back on the arm side. And I think that's why we have them at 5, right? Because there are probably less question marks on the pitching side than a lot of these teams in the Big 12. Now they're bringing in some Division One guys that are transfers in. I love the innings that they bring back, though. I mean, they really are set up to be successful here. And the returners on offense, this is a team that really feels solid. They're young, but they're solid. And I think we all like what we see there from those sophomores and juniors that are on this club. Number 4, West Virginia. Now, people are probably screaming from the mountaintops out as we've been hearing it all, the top 25. Why don't you guys have these guys? There's a lot of question marks. Again, another Big 12 team with a lot of transfers in, a lot of younger guys, D2, D3. West Virginia, 44-16. They lost in the Baton Rouge Super Regional. Coach Sabins, we love him. We think he's tremendous, and he's a really good young coach. He does a lot of good things there. But question marks, Jared, and talk about this team. We know that they got some pitching, but they still have question marks all over the place.
Yeah, I think we're all going to cover West Virginia too, right? Because they're on our just miss list.
Yeah.
But you got to give it to the Mountaineer fans. The people of Morgantown love their baseball team. They love this West Virginia baseball team, and they're passionate about it. And man, I think that's like one of the best parts about West Virginia is like we had Chase Meyer on in an interview, and he talked about like there's nothing beats playing at West Virginia because of the fans. Like it makes every single one of those players want to play for those fans. And so like they have their head coach going into their second year. I mean, Steve Sabins has been there for 20 plus years, or not 20 plus years, but he's been there for a very long time. But as an assistant, and now he takes over as a head coach, had his first year and wins 44 games. Like it's pretty good. You can't complain there if you're a West Virginia fan. So really looking to build on that. Mark, as you mentioned, they have kind of a lot of question marks in terms of bringing in a lot of transfers, but the one guy we already mentioned that they bring in return is Chase Meyer, right? This is a guy that they're really hoping will take some next steps, like electric fastball, electric slider, like some absolutely nasty stuff. But the command and control kind of waver from here to there. And so you're just needing him to really kind of hone things in order to kind of take that next step of the mound. But he kind of wound up going out of the bullpen, I think, mostly, but has the starter traits and could be a starter if he can really kind of hone those things in. So I think this team's going to really kind of bank on that and a few other guys. The only other guy I want to touch on it now, and Will, I'll let you kind of dive into this team a little bit more too, but it's Andrew Middleton. This is a guy that I remember watching at UMass last year until he went down with I think he got Tommy John surgery last year, but struck out 29 batters in 11 2/3 innings in 4 games. Like absolutely ridiculous. He's like we were doing the strikeout leader graphics, and it was like Andrew Middleton, and then like the next closest guy wasn't even close. Like you really wanted to see that guy finish an entire year because like the numbers he was just putting up were absurd. So if he's back healthy, and is like because I think he got Tommy John pretty early on in the season, so he could be close-ish to back. Might usually takes like a year and a half, I think, or something like that for Tommy John recovery. But if he can make an impact in this rotation, man, like that's a fun arm.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Jared. I'm a huge fan of this offense as well. Obviously, you're going to lose some big pieces, but one guy that I really want to highlight, and he has kind of become a crowd favorite. You see the burner accounts on Twitter with this guy's name on it. That's kind of how he's emerged, only making 27 starts last year. He notched the MVP of the Clemson Regional that West Virginia came out of. Armani Guzman. Utility man. He led the team in stolen bases while only making 27 starts. He swiped 17 bags. He also slashed 327, 403, 449 with 5 doubles and 22 RBI. Excited to watch a full year of him. He's a guy that can completely change the course of this offense. They're going to bring in a trio of transfers that I'll touch on really quick. All mid-major bats, all had a 900-plus OPS. Sean Smith out of Georgia Southern, Brock Wills out of UNC Wilmington, and Matt Enoch out of Ohio. A trio of bats that are really just plug-and-play guys. I think they're going to do really good things for this West Virginia offense. And one more guy I want to talk about is all Big 12 freshman team, second baseman, Gavin Kelly. So he made 45 starts last year as a true freshman, made a very solid impact, hit /299, 402, 395, and went 16 of 18 on stolen bases. If he can uptick in the power department and or the on base, I mean, he got on base at a 40% clip. This kid's going to steal 20 plus bags this year. I think he can make a legit impact for the Mountaineers as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Oh, sorry, Jared. Go ahead.
No, I was only going to say I said that guy when you said Sean Smith, because when we were doing the Sun Belt Conference preview, I was like, oh, this guy would have been perfect. Why'd he have to transfer? Like, he would have been an all-conference team.
Well, he might still, just maybe in the Big 12 this year. We'll find out. Listen, the question marks are there, though, for me. When I look at West Virginia, yeah, they're one of the top 7 teams in this conference, no doubt. I think that they're going to finish there. But the big question marks are, do they have enough on the weekends? Are they going to be good enough on weekend rotation? Do these new guys come in and mesh well and be able to mash like they did last season, like all these transfers? Question marks all over the place. And guys that didn't play 50, 60 games last year like a lot of returning players did in this conference. So a lot of question marks here for Sabins. But again, they won the conference last year. I was questioning them last year. They went out and won the conference. I
And
had
a
Kansas
regional.
the whole time, made a regional, made a super regional. It's like, at some point I have to stop questioning what they're doing in West Virginia and just go along with it. But at the same time, I want to see something perform. So a lot of new guys there.
We also have to touch on really quick, the amount of money that they're putting into those facilities is ridiculous. If you haven't seen behind the scenes looks at those facilities and what they're doing at West Virginia, there's a reason they have so many people at those games. They're putting a lot into baseball, and that fan base is about as loyal as they come. So this is just the start of a really fun era for West Virginia baseball, and Steve Sabins is at the center of it.
I mean, honestly, you could say that for a lot of these Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
The fact that Utah, who we have at 12, put a $35 million facility in, and these schools are spending money. Houston's spending money. Texas Tech's going to spend money. Oklahoma State always spends money. Arizona, Kansas, TCU, like these are teams that are putting money in their programs, and they say, we can compete right now. Let's get back after it. We were a baseball conference for a long time. Let's go back to being that baseball conference that can get back to the number 1. Speaking of teams that were almost there, Arizona, we have them at number 3 here, 44-21. They lost in Omaha. They had a really good team. They still have a good team this year. Coach Chip Hale has been tremendous with this team. Now, it's going to be interesting. They lose Coach Vance. He takes over at San Diego State. So pitching, but they have all those guys back, Will. I'll let you start on this team. It's just crazy.
Yeah, let's just dive right into this pitching staff because genuinely they might finish top 5 in ERA. This pitching staff is ridiculous. You're looking at multiple first rounders across the board. Kicking off with Owen Kramkowski. He's on our top 100 list. I believe he rings in at 36, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be a junior this year. I got eyes on him last year. Maybe the most effortless low to mid 90s I've ever seen in my life. And this is a kid that's 6'3", 165 pounds. I mean, he is skinny, like not a real physical kid yet. He's going to be a monster. I mean, he throws a really hard cutter. He's got the electric fastball, just super effortless motion. He's going to be really, really fun. He racked up 90 strikeouts over 92 innings last year. He's going to be a workhorse. You're returning sophomore Smith Bailey. He was a true freshman last year. Just unbelievable what that kid did as a true freshman. One of his first starts against Tennessee. Remember, he gave up a home run in the first inning and then cruised through 5 innings.
Smooth,
all Big 12 freshman team, all American freshman team as well last year. He made 18 starts, posted a 3.94 ERA. 89 innings, kept hitters to a 287 average. I think the strikeouts are going to tick up. I've seen some fall tape on him. He only struck out 80 last year, which was kind of surprising when you watch the kid pitch. You would think he would have struck out a lot more guys than that. I think that's going to take a big jump this year. He's going to arguably he might end up as the best pitcher on this staff. He could be the best pitcher in this conference. And then you've got your junior right-hander, Colin McKinney. He's back. All 3 rotation arms back. Chip Hale talked about it during the Big 12 tournament. Their calling card last year was their starting rotation, and it's going to be the exact same rotation this year. It's going to take them very, very far. McKinney made 13 starts last year, posted a 3.98, 62 strikeouts, and held hitters to a 234 average. They also hit the portal. They're going to bring in senior lefty Luke Flotta out of Tulane. He racked up 76 and 2/3 innings last year. He can make a legit impact. I know his ERA was close to a 7 last year. 2 years ago, as a sophomore, he posted a 4.77 over 83 innings. That's a lot more indicative of what he can bring to this Arizona roster. And then, of course, you're bringing back Stopper of the Year, Tony Pluta.
Our guy.
Unbelievable. Our guy. Just one of my favorite closers to watch. Held hitters to a 219 average, a low 90s fastball. But, man, that thing just gets on hitters. He's got really good off speed to back it up. He only allowed runs in 3 outings last year. 3 of his 30 appearances accounted for all of his runs last year. 2 of them, he gave up 4 runs, got hit around a little bit. 1 of them, he gave up 1 run. So 27 outings, without a run given up last year. He went 15 consecutive outings spanning from April 5th to June 15th last year without allowing an earned run. This kid is unbelievable. He's going to lead the team in saves yet again. He racked up 34 strikeouts in 37 innings last year with 14 saves. There aren't many better that do it in the back end of a bullpen better than Tony Pluta. My biggest concern for this team, obviously, Mark, you're going to get into the offense a little bit. I'm going to pass it over to you, but I'm really concerned with what this team is going to be on the pitching side without Kevin Vance. Kevin Vance is an incredible pitching mind. He turned this pitching staff around from the time he got to Arizona. So you can't deny the talent. The talent is there. These kids have performed in the past, but it's going to be different, right? You lose that presence of the pitching coach and Kevin Vance, and you have to question if they're going to be able to take the next step of development. And I like to think they will because they're incredibly talented, and it's a program really strong with culture, and Chip Hale is about as good as they come at the helm of the program. But you have to be concerned with losing Kevin Vance as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're going new catcher, new pitching coach. It's going to be interesting to see here. They got 3 guys competing for the job, but I really like Bo Sylvester coming from Oklahoma State. I think that he's going to get the opportunity to be the guy. He's a senior, kind of gives him that stability of, hey, I've been in D1 baseball. I know what's expected. I can handle a really good pitching staff, and that's what they have. They have a really good pitching staff. You just need somebody who can go back there and just be a part of it. Just say, I can end this. I can be here for you guys. I can receive the baseball. The hitting will come, I think, around. It'll be just really interesting. There's guys that are coming back. Easton Brayfogle, this guy can hit. Okay, he didn't do it a lot last year. He had some really great games and he had some really rough games. I think he kind of rounds that out and gets a little bit more consistent this season, and I think you see more of that. Same with Maddox Mililakis, another guy who can really hit the baseball and has huge exit velocity numbers. It just didn't always translate in the big games. It didn't always translate in some of the small games. He was good in some parts, and then just games that kind of just disappeared. And I think that was really surprising for a lot of folks that watched him last year, where you're like, okay, he's kind of surrounded by a lot of bats. He's going to be able to succeed. I think he does succeed this year. I like his swing. I like his game. I think that he's going to be good for them. Another guy also, Andrew Kane. I think he takes a big jump forward here for them. I think that he has a huge season. And they're bringing in a transfer from Oregon State who started a ton of games last year in the outfield. And Carson McIntyre, he's going to get an opportunity to play right away. This is a guy who had, I think he had 7 or 8 home runs for Oregon State when he didn't really even start. He hit one in Hawaii, and then all of a sudden he's playing all the time. I really like this kid. I think that what they've brought in on top of the pitching that they already have, they're going to be really good again. They're going to compete for a Big 12 title, and it's not going to surprise me anything. Jared, anything you want to add for this Arizona squad?
No, I mean, I always believe in Chip Hale. Like when Jay Johnson left Arizona and Chip Hale took over, like that team didn't really miss a beat since then. Again, like I have concerns. You lose your 3 top hitters and Adonis Guzman. We've already kind of talked about it, but Adonis Guzman, Brendan Summerhill, and Mason White. Like you lose those 3 guys, it's huge, right? But like you said, they got some transfers that are coming in that are interesting that could have some impact. So again, I believe in Chip Hale. Like I think they're going to be right at the top of this Big 12 conference with no doubt in my mind.
I think that they're right there. And you know, they're good. That's the same thing. Like the next team we're going to talk about, Kansas. A lot of guys coming back, 43-17, lost in the Fayetteville Regional. They were, again, one of those sexy picks where like they could win this thing. They could go out there. And then, of course, Arkansas gets to Omaha, and nobody was beating them until they got to Omaha there. And it ended up being LSU beating them twice. Coach Fitzgerald has a squad, okay? Maybe one of the best offensive weapons in the country, and he's going to play a little bit of first, a little bit of outfield, sounds like, also going to play some left field, possibly for draft stock reasons. Brady Bollinger, this guy can straight up mash. It won't surprise me if he hits 380 and hits 25 home runs this year for Kansas. It will not surprise me. That's how good this kid is. I really like everything that he brings as far as a game to this team. And then they have one of the best Friday night guys in the country when he's good, Dominic Vegley. Like this guy can straight up pitch. He had some really weird games where he got roughed up early and kind of got knocked out of those games. But then there's games where he was going 7-8 innings and looked like a true ace on any Friday night. Kind of surprising that he's able to come back. I'm very excited for those 2 guys. But I'm going to let you guys, Jared, I'm going to let you go next here and take a little bit more on this team. I know that they have a lot of transfers in. It's kind of a different looking team, but those 2 guys right there give you an opportunity. And I think that's why we believe that they're going to be really good and have them here at number 2 for us.
Yeah, the one guy I think everybody should pay attention to is Jordan Bach, transfer out of Southern Illinois. This is a guy who went from an NAIA school in 2022 in St. Xavier. He's from Canada too, so you see a lot of that happen a lot of times. Like these kids from Canada commit very, very early to schools, and a lot of times they commit to an NAIA. But then he transfers out, comes to Southern Illinois, had an okay first year. It wasn't bad, like 299, 395, 450 slash. And then last year, he slashed 309, 432, 564, 19 doubles, 11 home runs, and 41 RBIs, along with 12 stolen bases. So, like, this guy's going to be a producer in this Kansas lineup. And I think this is a guy that everybody should be paying attention to. Like, first thing when I started researching Kansas and saw, like, they got this guy in the portal, like, it's a kind of my favorite story, right? He comes from Canada, goes to NAIA, and then now all of a sudden he's at a Big 12 school, ready to kind of be a force in this lineup. We kind of talked about it when with Coach Fitzgerald too. They kind of recruit differently, right? Like they go after the JUCO guys, they go after these grinders who have kind of been through it for a while. And so, but this team's going to win games. They're going to probably win 40 plus games again. Like you mentioned, you got Brady Ballinger going to like be the heart of that lineup. Daniel Osoria, like this team is going to be very, very good. And I'm excited for Kansas baseball.
Yeah, they're really, really good. Will, anything you want to add to this Kansas squad before we move on to our number one team?
I'm very glad you talked about Jordan Bach because I was going to if you didn't.
Yeah.
100% with you. And yeah, there's another team that, yes, you have Dan Fitzgerald at the helm. He's going to do a fantastic job. This team is going to be knocking on the door of 40 wins. It's hard to project these teams that are plugging in so many junior college guys into the lineup because this lineup is going to be very junior college heavy outside of a couple of returners that we mentioned, Ballinger and Dariel or Soria. The pitching should be solid, though. You're still also bringing back Cannon Carr and Manning West from last year, who had combined for over 100 innings, both right around that 4.3 ERA mark. You're also going to bring in Carter Fink from ETSU. He made a lot of starts for them last year, pitched 72 innings. So I think the pitching is actually going to be better than what people may think, especially with losing a guy like Cooper Moore, who was arguably their most consistent arm last year. So I'm really excited for Jayhawk baseball. You got to be excited. This is going to be just a fun team. This feels like an elevated junior college team, which is always just a really fun style of baseball to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for guys like Kate Baldridge and Landon Lozier. Like, these are good guys. And then a guy that kind of slid under the radar and a guy that was very highly rated out of high school and went to LSU, David Hogue II. This guy is going to probably play shortstop for them. Really super athlete. Very excited to watch him get out there and get an opportunity. But again, some unproven guys, but I think that we believe in the guys that they have at the top end. Their top end guys are All-American caliber, and so we kind of put them in this ability to be up there in the top of this conference. A team that really doesn't need any kind of introduction from us is TCU. 39-20. They lost in the Corvallis Regional. Kind of weird that they went 0-2 there. Rough draw when they ended up getting up there and not winning that first game. And then they go out and they're like, oh, now we have to face like freshman of the year, Dax Whitney from Oregon State. Not the favorite. Not super fun to do that, especially in Corvallis with that fan base that had lost the first game. Tough one there. But Coach Sarloos, Jared, I'm going to let you start on this one because I know Will's got a lot to talk about these guys.
Yeah, I mean, we all talk about UCLA and Georgia Tech and everything that they're bringing back to the table, and I feel like we just don't talk about TCU and everything that they're bringing back to the table. Like, you're bringing Sawyer Strasnyder back, you're bringing Cole Kramer back, you're bringing Chase Brunson back, you're bringing Noah Franco back, you're bringing Tommy Laporte back, you're bringing Mason Brassfield back. Like, this team's loaded with returners, and I feel like UCLA and Georgia Tech get all the attention for having so many returners come back, but like, TCU is going to be loaded this year. They're going to be very, very good at baseball. But you have Sawyer Strasnyder, who's potentially going to be Big 12 Player of the Year. I think, Will, you selected him as your preseason all-conference Big 12 Player of the Year. Chase Brunson doesn't get talked about enough as being one of the best outfielders in the Big 12. I know you had struggles lately. Now, you and I were texting about trying to figure out the outfield for the Big 12 conference because it was so loaded, and you almost had to leave Chase Brunson out. And this is a guy who hit 317 last year with 13 doubles, 12 home runs, and 46 RBIs. Like, this team is – and it's just loaded. And then I think Noah Franco gets lost because, like, Sawyer Strasnyder had such a great freshman year, but everybody forgets Noah Franco was also a freshman and a two-way player last year as well. And he hit his freshman year, hit 16 doubles, 11 home runs, and 49 RBI. Like, they're going to be a very good team, and I'll leave it to Will to kind of touch on the mound because I know he's got a few thoughts there.
I do. This is just my weekly segment of talking about TCU baseball. Like, it just seems every week I find a way to bring them up. And to your point, Noah Franco gets lost in this lineup. So does Nolan Traeger. Nolan Traeger, their catcher, he's coming back. He finished with a 900 OPS last year. It feels like he just flies under the radar. Nobody talks about him. They're also going to bring back some older experience and guys that can really lead in the clubhouse. Cole Kramer at second base. Had a really good season, the only Horned Frog to start all 59 games a year ago. And Jack Bell is going to take that step. He drove in 31 runs last year. He's going to play a bigger role this year. One guy I want to talk about Rob Liddington Jr., he's going to get a shot to play right away. He's transferring in from Incarnate Word. He slashed 359, 448, 675 with 15 home runs and 50 RBI. Just some added thump to just plug in this lineup as if it already didn't have enough. This guy might hit sixth for them. And he hit 15 home runs with over a 1 OPS. On the mound, you have potential Big 12 pitcher of the year in Tommy Laporte. He's going to anchor Friday nights. 88 strikeouts in 90 and a third innings pitched, a 3.09 ERA, the best returning pitcher ERA in the Big 12 of qualified innings. The fastball is going to run up into the upper 90s. The off speed is really good with that slider. He's so much fun to watch, like true psycho energy kind of deal. You know, I always post a video of him slamming the Red Bull against his head before he runs out. The kid loves sprinting on and off the field in between innings. It's just, he's fun to watch. You're also going to bring back another sophomore, a true freshman last year, Mason Brassfield. He's going to take another big step. He took a huge step last year. I mean, this is a kid that probably coming into the season was going to be a main bullpen arm. You get Ben Abelt goes down 2 days before opening day, and all of a sudden Mason Brassfield gets thrown in. He made 7 starts over 18 appearances last year, 68 strikeouts in 61 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's going to be a stud for them. Another guy that people are not really talking about. Him and Tommy Laporte as a 1-2 punch is going to be very dangerous. And it feels like that isn't one of the 1-2 punches that people are talking about in the country, especially in this conference. And then you're going to bring back another sophomore in Nate Stern, who was really good out of the bullpen for them. And he made 15 appearances last year. His only start came in the Big 12 tournament, and he shoved. He racked up a team best 1.35 ERA over 20 innings last year. Super fun arm to watch. 29 strikeouts, held hitters to a 181 average. I could see him getting some starts here and there. I could see him being a full starter. I'm curious to see what his role ends up being over the course of the season. But man, when we talk about UCLA, we talk about, oh, this team has been together for so long, and you know, it's the same recruiting class that's stuck with each other. And that's what this TCU team is. How many sophomores we just rattled off. That's 7 sophomores that are playing a huge role on this team that were all true freshmen that played a year ago. And when you get that experience, you get into the postseason. Yes, they took the lumps having to go on the road and face Dax Whitney in an elimination game as true freshmen. Yeah, how fun is that? Not very. This is a team that's going to be all experienced. They're going to find their way into the postseason again. There's a reason they're number 1 in the Big 12 for us. This is an Omaha team. And if there's a TCU team that's been as talented as ever, I think this is a team that has a legitimate chance to win the College World Series.
Yeah. And, you know, the moment they got eliminated last year, I wrote them down in my Omaha 8, and I was like, listen, all these freshmen are going to be sophomores. Yes. I'm like, we don't know in the transfer portal if they're going to stay. They all stayed. This team's stuck together, and it's like, that doesn't happen in today's era of baseball. They believe in Sarlos. They want to be TCU or home frogs. They want to go back to the World Series. I really believe in this team. I think that they have, if there's a team that is going to win this conference outright by a long ways, it's TCU. Nobody else is going to do that. But if somebody's going to win this conference outright by a lot of games, it's going to be TCU. Everybody else might be really close. TCU might be really close with those teams as well. But they're the team that has the potential to actually blow this thing open and be like, all right, we win this thing by 4 or 5 games. And it's only because they have such a huge talent gap as guys that have returned and guys that have played last year. And we know what we're getting from these guys, or we expect we know what we're getting from these guys. So very excited there. That's our 14 teams here in the Big 12. We've ranked them all for you guys. Cannot wait to have you guys discuss this and tell us where we're wrong on all these. But we're going to get into some player and coach superlatives here. Player of the year pick. Jared, you start first here. There's just so many good players in this conference, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with Andrew Williamson from UCF because you've kind of seen my common theme of I like to go with the guys who get lost in the conversation, and like he gets lost in the conversation between Sawyer Strasnyder and Brady Ballinger. Yep. Williamson posted the 3rd highest OPS in the Big 12 last year behind Carrington Cross and Brady Ballinger. Like he was 3rd in the entire Big 12. And I just think because he plays at UCF, he probably gets lost because he doesn't get the same limelight. Like UCF wasn't in the playoffs last year like TCU and Kansas were. And this is a guy who's slashed 352, 448, 662 with 1110 OPS. It's 19 doubles, 13 home runs, 53 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases. The dude absolutely mashes, and I feel like he needs to get a little bit more respect in this league, and I do think he's going to be a candidate for Big 12 Player of the Year and could be the guy who takes the crown from Brady Ballinger if he has another big year.
Yeah. The funny thing is I picked Andrew last year to win Big 12 Player of the Year,
yeah.
And I was like, he had a really good season. But, I mean, you weren't going to beat out those guys that beat him there. And like you said, Ballinger finished second in those. That's why he's my player of the year this year. I think that he takes another step forward. I think him playing a little bit of outfield this year with some first base mixed in. I'm very excited to see what he does at Kansas. That ballpark's getting more excited. I hope they bring back Dollar Dogs. Again, if Kansas folks bring back Dollar Dogs, I am there. I will buy $100 worth of hot dogs and feed that crowd. I love Dollar Dog Night. So that's my guy, Brady Ballinger. I think that he just does huge thing this year at Kansas for Pat Fitzgerald. Where are you going, Will? I mean, do we know where? I mean, is this a discussion?
You do know where I'm going with this. However, I feel like we actually didn't talk about this guy on the show, and so I want to give him a quick shout out. He isn't my pick for this, but Logan Hughes from Texas Tech. I feel like we actually, I don't think we talked about him tonight.
I did.
He posted oh, did you? Okay, so he posted a 1.1 OPS last year with 19 bombs, 13 doubles. This is a guy that easily is going to surpass 20 home runs this year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player. So just want to give him a shout out because he is definitely in the running for this award. And mind you, the Big 12 is absolutely loaded in the outfield. All of these guys are outfielders. So
Yeah.
really hard to pick really good outfielders.
Yeah, guys moving from first base to play outfield. It's like, thanks for doing that to us.
We're going to add another one. Yeah, so I am going to pick Sawyer Strasnyder. Led the country in triples last year with 10. True five-tool guy. He slashed 350, 420, 650 with 13 doubles, 11 home runs, 51 RBIs. Those 10 triples plus 10 stolen bases. He's going to take another huge step. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be 15 home runs and closer to 20 stolen bases, I think, is what he can do. And so I'm really excited to watch him again. I think he's just hands down the best player in this conference. He's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, but again, this is kind of one of those awards that's wide open, and this is a conference that has so many good top-end players. Very excited. There's a guy that like a transfer in, like a Hollis Porter, who could sneak in there, but there's so many good players that have transferred into this conference. Any of those guys could win this, but I think those are the three guys that everybody looks at and goes, yeah, these guys are right among the top there, and we like them. Best pitcher, so pitcher of the year. I'm going to let you start on this one, Will. Who do you have for pitcher of the year candidate?
Got to go with Coulter McAnally out of Utah. We touched on him a little bit earlier.
It's a true ace.
He's a true ace. He led the Big 12 in strikeouts a year ago with 92. Over his 92 innings pitched, over 14 starts. He was an all-conference pitcher last year. He's going to be again. I selected him as Big 12 all-conference starting pitcher as well. He is pretty much as automatic as you can get on Friday nights in this conference, and he's going to do it again this year. Now, is it going to translate to an 8-1 record? I'm not sure. He could very well end up with the best statistics in the conference again with a 3-6 record, but this kid is just unbelievable. I think he's just going to be the best pitcher in the conference.
He's got really great stuff, and he gets a lot of strikeout numbers, and he throws the ball in the zone. It's a big thing. And Utah playing a new ballpark this year, maybe Coach Anderson's got something. Maybe with the Friday nights, they do really well in conference. I'm hoping to see them jump. Jared, where are you going?
Well, he's going to be the second best pitcher in the conference. If Cole Carlin is going to be the best pitcher in the conference. I just think this guy is going to be absolutely elite this year, just with the stuff he has. Like, he went out into the Cape Cod League. I only know he pitched 3 games, but still posted a 1.42 ERA in the Cape. Going against the best of the best. It's pretty impressive that he did that. Again, 86 strikeouts. We talked about this, and 54 innings pitched last year out of the bullpen. So going to go in that rotation, become that Friday night guy for Willie Bloomquist. I'm all here for Arizona State and Cole Carlin taking the pitcher of the year, even though I might be wrong. So
I like it. I mean, honestly, this is a conference where it's wide open, and it really will depend on who does the best on Friday nights, and we're going to see all these guys face each other. I'm excited. I'm taking a Saturday night starter, which may be kind of controversial because people are like, oh, why are you not going to take Owen Kramkowski? I'm taking Smith Bailey. And what Will talked about earlier is that, yeah, those strikeout numbers weren't necessarily where we thought they would be last year with how well he pitched. I think he takes that step forward. He might get 100 strikeouts, and then you're talking about a guy who's sitting there as a sophomore and racks up some wins on Saturday. He could be a guy that goes 8-1 in conference, 9-0 in conference, 100 plus strikeouts. You're talking about a guy that'd be really hard to say he's not pitcher of the year, even if he's not pitching on Fridays. I really like Smith Bailey. I think that him as a sophomore season is going to just take a huge stride forward. Pitching all the way into Omaha was huge for his ability and confidence. Yeah, no Kevin Vance, but I still believe in Chip Halen and know what they're doing at Arizona is big. I really like Smith Bailey. Breakout star or freshman this year? I'll start this one because I kind of alluded to it already that I'm taking Jordan Lodi's. I think that he's going to be a stud. He's going to get the opportunity. He's going to at least get the first crack at shortstop for UCF. And, if they're going to do much of anything, if Coach Walls has this team turned around the direction that he thinks he does, he's going to be a big part of it. I think that he could be freshman of the year in the Big 12 conference. I'm very, very, very excited for Jordan. Again, I heard that he grew up some size this offseason. But again, I think that he has the ability to be one of those guys that could be a difference maker for UCF. I'm very excited for that. Let's go over to Jared. Who are you taking here for freshman or breakout star?
I was gonna go Jordan Bach, but since I've talked about him already, I might go a little bit of a different direction here.
Throw a curveball at us.
I'm gonna go Landon Harrison, just because I don't think it's like necessarily a breakout, but like he didn't put up the most exciting numbers. Still had a pretty good OPS and slash line, but I feel like there's more in the tank for this guy, and I think he can become a superstar in the Big 12 because he was a good player last year, but I think he's going to make that leap to becoming a great player. He's already at the top, I believe, of our 2027 draft boards. If he taps into a little bit more power, kind of cleans up some things defensively. Like this guy is going to be an absolute star, and I think he can be up there with like the Sawyer Strasniders and others in this league. And so I'm going Landon Harrison.
Could be a really good sophomore season here for Harrison. I like that pick there. Will, where are you going for breakout star or freshman?
Yeah, I was going to go freshman here, but I'm actually going to go breakout star, and I touched on him a little bit earlier in the show, but it's Cade Clemmy out of Houston. He might be my favorite breakout pick in the entire country this year. Like I mentioned earlier, he led the team in OPS last year. He led Houston in all of OPS with a 921, hit 9 bombs last year. I think this is a kid that's capable of hitting 15. I mean, if you watch him swing, you watch the way the ball flies off his bat, easily has more in the tank than just 9 home runs. I think he's poised for a huge year, and it's going to be a really big reason why Houston takes that next step, especially in 2026. But I'm really excited to watch him play some good baseball.
I like it. Let's move on to Coach of the Year. Now, we've talked about these guys. We've had lots of interviews with these guys. We've been able to discuss things with these guys. We love these coaches. So many good ones here in this conference. Jared, start us off with who you think is going to be Coach of the Year.
I thought we were going to
are we going transfer?
Let's get transfer of the year.
Well, let's do coach. I can go here.
Coach, so we can jump over to transfer.
Yeah. I'm going to go Sabins out of West Virginia. I think because he won 44 games in his first year, took that team to a super regional. We talked about some of the questions around the roster, but I think Sabins is going to figure it out, and these guys are going to compete, and they're going to play. And I love Steve Sabins and what he's done with that West Virginia program. Will talked about the facility changes they've made and the improvements that they've made there. Talk about all the guys that they've brought in and the returners that they bring to that lineup. And he's got a great coaching staff around him as well that really help kind of to bolster these guys. So, they got that fan base that are going to rally around him. I think they're going to be a 40-plus win team again. And I think he's going to take that team far. I don't know if Omaha's in the cards to them, but I could see them going back to another super regional.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back super regionals, this team just continues to find ways to win. I love it. I'm going Josh Holiday, Oklahoma State. I so badly want a repeat of the Stillwater Regional that it's in my bones. Like, I just want to see this team compete again and mash home runs and get in these huge games where they're down 12 runs and then come back and tie the game up and win it. I want Oklahoma State to be good. I think that they have talent here. I'm very excited for this team, so I'm going to take Coach Josh Holiday at Oklahoma State. Where are you going, Will?
I'm going to go with Kirk Saarloos, because how are you not going to give it to a team that wins the national championship? I think
you wouldn't, yeah.
And this is a team, and that's what's funny about it is that TCU finished, I believe, 3rd or 4th in the conference standings last year. So there's room on the table for it. So it's not like TCU ran the conference. They finished 3rd last year, 19-11 in conference play. It's not like they ran away with the conference last year, and there's no way he's going to win it because he's been around for so long. And there were 2 teams that finished ahead of them in the standings. So not only do I think that they're going to win the Big 12, but I think they're going to win the whole dang thing. So I got to go Kirk Saarloos here.
Yeah, if you believe that they're going to win it all, and you've said it from day one, you got to stick with it. I like where you're at.
You stole my line when I picked Savage in the Big Ten.
That's true.
I mean, if you think those guys are going to win it all, you got to ride with them. I mean, that's just the rules here. All right, transfer to look for. I'll go first here. I spoke so highly of this guy. Big left-handed pitcher coming from UCSB. Yes, he sat out all of last season with injury. He's back. He's healthy. He looks poised to be a weekend rotation guy. Hudson Barrett. if he can repeat that, anything of that 1.92 ERA, even if he's sub 3 for Oklahoma State, I think that he's one of the reasons why we start to see that resurgence of Oklahoma State be really good and be near the top of this conference again, and maybe give teams like Arizona, West Virginia, Kansas, and TCU a run for it. I think that he's one of the big reasons. I love Hudson Barrett. Just the poise and the experience and bringing all that into this team really might settle this team down. And Blake Hawksworth just speaks the world of him as the pitching coach down there. So I'm very excited for Hudson Barrett. Jared, where are you going here as far as your transfer player?
I want to see if I can pull up a video here.
We're going full production.
We got. Oh, I really messed this thing up, didn't I? There we go. Hollis Porter. I'm going to take Hollis Porter out of, formerly Maryland, now out of Texas Tech. They're going to get excited for some big-time bat flips, as you saw there. Every time he hits a moonshot, it goes like 700 feet, and he flips the crap out of the bat. So that's going to play really well in Red Raider Nation. I just think he's in for another 20-plus home run season. Going to be a lot of strikeouts with those home runs, so be prepared for that, Texas Tech fans. So if you're like in a crucial situation and Porter strikes out, don't be surprised. But he's going to hit a lot of home runs and put up to near 1,000 OPS too. So you take the good with the bad there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said Porter, Hughes, and Villanueva. That could be 60 home runs with those three guys at 3, 4, 5 at Texas Tech. So very excited for that. He's got such pop. It's just ridiculous there from the left side. All right, Will. Who's your transfer player?
You did take mine. I'm very glad you got to talk about Hudson Barrett. Just been one of my guys since he's been at UCSB. But I'm going to go with the Mountain West Co-Player of the Year from 2025. Give me Dean Toigo out of UNLV, now with the Arizona State Sun Devils. Slash 377, 445, 682 with 13 doubles, 18 home runs, and 74 RBI last year with UNLV. This is a guy that in Arizona – probably capable of that 20 home run mark again. So I think he's going to be a huge plug and play guy for the Sun Devils. Plug him in the middle of that lineup, and you might get some Brandon Compton type home runs from a year ago. So I'm really excited for what he can do in a Sun Devil uniform.
Yeah, he might be a big part of that resurgence there for Arizona State. I love it, man. There's so many good teams here. But let's talk about some of these dark horse teams. So we're talking about teams that are not in the top 3. I'll go first because I keep saying it. I think Oklahoma State's that team for me. We have them at 6. I think that they're a team that can really make that jump and say, hey, we're the team that can make this thing and go out there and compete for this. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you could go down the list here and say any of these teams could jump up and compete for this title. But I really like Oklahoma State this year. I think that what they have bringing back on offense and the ability that they're going to have on the mound is going to be the difference that sets them aside for a team that can make a dark horse run. Will, where are you going for your dark horse?
Yeah, I did spoil it earlier, but it's going to be the Houston Cougars for me.
Yeah.
Todd Whitting's been there a long time. He's a long time tenured coach that has seen a lot of success. You're bringing back plenty of returning talent that has had really, really high success with Houston so far. Trey Broussard, Cade Clemmy, Xavier Perez, Tyler Cox. You're bringing in transfers like Landon Williams, and you're returning enough innings on the mound that I think those guys are going to take another step in the development. And Houston's going to surprise a lot of people. And like you said, this is a team that was over 500 by a handful of games last year, 11 games. It was really good in non-con play. So I think you got to give me the Cougars to take that next step. And I think they're going to end up a lot higher in the conference standings than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of these teams that could shuffle around. We've talked about it. There's just so much talent in this conference and a lot of question marks. So it'll be interesting to see where this lands. Jared, who's your dark horse?
I was going to go Arizona State, but I feel like if you go to a regional, then you have like the 11th best transfer portal class. Like, are you really a dark horse at that point? Like Oklahoma State, I can see it a little bit more because one, they went 30-25, and yeah, maybe they made it to a regional, but still that team had a lot of problems last year. So that's definitely still a dark horse. I'm going to go UCF. We talked about it in kind of the two big outfielders that they bring back in Andrew Williamson. And I just think like this team did enough in the portal on the mound wise that they could have some arms that could really help them compete. And I like what they have on offense. So like you mentioned, Mark, I thought they were going to be a lot better last year too. And they're a Florida team. Like you've got to feel like almost every single Florida team is usually good at baseball, including like Stetson and all these other schools. Florida Gulf Coast has been good for years. Like it's time for UCF to be back on the winning streak here. And I really like this team.
Yeah, middle of Orlando. Like, come on, they got to be good. I mean, we thought when they joined the Big 12 that this was going to be a team that could scare a lot of people, and they just haven't lived up to that. But I believe in Coach Wall, so I like that one as well. Final thoughts here, boys. As Big 12, we rattle this one off here. It was a great show. So many good teams here. Jared, I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna let Will finish this one off.
Yeah, I think for me is that we all know the ACC and SEC are the premier leagues of college baseball, but I don't think the Big 12 is that far behind. I think they've been making improvements year in and year out. Like you look at TCU, you look at Kansas, you look at West Virginia. Now they got Arizona and Arizona State in the conference as well. Like this league is getting better and better, and I think there's an argument that they could easily crack their way into the top three conferences in college baseball. Like they could in a couple of years be right up there with the ACCs in terms of competitiveness. And we talked about how all these Big 12 teams had like top 25 transfer portal classes, and then in all of college baseball. So like Big 12 is on the up, and I think people need to start paying attention.
Yeah, and you get the history from teams like you said, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, these teams that have been good for a long time and have built the history of college baseball. We'll add these new teams to it. I love it. I love that so much. I think that this is just a tremendous conference. Will, you did the write-up, and it just had to be a blast writing about this, but just finish us off here for this one.
Yeah, I mentioned it when we kicked off the show. I mean, there's 8-10 teams in this conference that are going to finish within 3 or 4 games of each other. The race for the first place spot, the conference tournament is going to be so much fun. Last year we had, the 3 and 4 seeds in the championship game in Arizona and TCU. I think you're going to see something similar. It's going to be an absolute war all season long, and there's no shortage of talent in this conference. There really isn't. Even when you get to the teams that are truly rebuild programs right now, they have guys that are the top players in the conference. Like we talked about it a lot in Coulter McAnally from Utah. That's a rebuilding program, and yet they have one of the best players in the conference. And flush with talent, a lot of transfers, lots of fantastic coaches. I'm just really excited for Big 12 baseball again.
Yeah, cannot wait. All right, folks, we got 2 more preview shows coming, plus a preseason show coming, and we're going to start Spaces the week before the season on that Thursday night on Twitter. Can't wait for you all to join us. We'll see you guys here next week.